Sara Raras was a woman who seemed ordinary to everyone who crossed her path. She lived in a quiet suburb, maintained a steady job, and was considered polite and respectful by neighbors. To those around her, she appeared to be living a normal, uneventful life. Yet beneath the calm exterior was a life filled with secrets, hidden motives, and ultimately murder. Her story is one that shocked the nation, confounded detectives, and revealed a darkness that lurked where no one expected. The case began when authorities received reports of a missing person. Sara Raras had been in her apartment one evening and then vanished without explanation. Friends and family were initially confused, believing she may have gone away for a short trip or been delayed due to work. However, as hours turned into days, concerns escalated. Her absence was unusual, and no one could reach her by phone or social media. The pattern of her disappearance set the stage for one of the most bizarre investigations detectives had ever faced. Detectives assigned to the case quickly learned that Sara was meticulous about her life. She had routines, appointments, and social habits that she rarely broke. Her sudden disappearance suggested that something extraordinary had occurred. Investigators began examining her apartment, belongings, and digital footprint for any clues. Early signs were misleading. There was no forced entry, no obvious signs of struggle, and no immediate indication that foul play was involved. The case initially seemed like a routine missing person investigation, but the reality would soon prove far stranger. The first breakthrough came from neighbors who noticed unusual activity around Sara's apartment in the days leading up to her disappearance. Deliveries were accepted that she normally would have refused, unfamiliar individuals were seen leaving the building, and lights stayed on at odd hours. These small details, while seemingly mundane, began to suggest that Sara's disappearance was not voluntary. Detectives started to suspect that the case involved someone she knew intimately, someone with access to her life and routines. Then came the shocking discovery that left detectives speechless. During a search of the apartment, investigators found a hidden compartment behind a false wall panel. Inside, there were signs of struggle, personal items that had been taken from other people, and, most disturbingly, evidence pointing to a crime that had occurred long before Sara vanished. The compartment revealed a hidden side of her life, one that no friends, neighbors, or colleagues had ever suspected. This twist completely transformed the investigation, forcing authorities to reconsider Sara not just as a victim, but as someone involved in circumstances far more complex than initially believed. As the investigation unfolded, it became clear that Sara had been living a double life. Evidence suggested that she had been manipulating individuals, creating false narratives, and keeping secrets that put her in danger. Detectives discovered correspondence, financial records, and photographs that indicated she had been entangled with people who had motives to harm her. Each new piece of information added layers of complexity to a case that was already baffling. Her life was no longer simply ordinary. It was a web of intrigue, deceit, and hidden danger. One of the most startling aspects of the case was how well Sara had concealed her activities. Friends described her as kind and approachable, yet investigators uncovered a series of meetings and interactions with people who had criminal connections. Surveillance footage, digital messages, and witness statements revealed that Sara had been more than a passive participant in these dealings. She had played an active role, sometimes negotiating, sometimes hiding, and at other times, observing events that could have implicated her in dangerous situations. The twist that truly stunned detectives came when evidence pointed to an unexpected suspect. The person who had been closest to Sara, someone she had trusted implicitly, emerged as the central figure in her disappearance and the crimes surrounding her life. Detectives could not reconcile the image of a friendly, ordinary woman with the reality that she had been enmeshed in a world of deception and danger. This revelation highlighted the complex psychological and social dynamics that had allowed her secrets to remain hidden for so long. As authorities pieced together the timeline, they discovered that Sara's disappearance was the culmination of events that had been building for months. Conflicts, threats, and subtle acts of intimidation had created a situation where she could no longer escape without consequence. Detectives realized that the very skills and intelligence Sara had used to navigate her hidden life ultimately contributed to the circumstances of her disappearance. Her ability to deceive and manipulate, while impressive, had placed her in the path of someone determined to stop her. Forensic analysis added another layer of shock. Items recovered from the hidden compartment included personal effects from other individuals, suggesting that Sara had been involved in acts that were morally ambiguous, if not outright criminal. Fingerprints, DNA evidence, and digital traces pointed to interactions that had remained invisible to the casual observer. Each discovery forced detectives to reassess their understanding of Sara, challenging assumptions about her character and her role in the events that led to her disappearance. The case also revealed the profound psychological complexity of Sara Raras. Experts who reviewed her behavior patterns noted that she exhibited traits of careful planning, strategic manipulation, and a capacity for understanding how others perceive her. These traits allowed her to maintain a facade of normalcy even as she engaged in high-risk activities. Her ability to balance multiple identities, maintain relationships, and conceal her true motives demonstrates the intricate interplay of psychology, environment, and circumstance in cases involving female offenders or individuals entangled in dangerous situations. As the investigation progressed, attention turned to unraveling the motive behind the crimes connected to Sara. While some of the evidence suggested financial gain or personal revenge, other pieces revealed psychological manipulation, obsession, and fear. Detectives had to analyze how Sara's relationships, both personal and professional, had influenced the sequence of events leading to her disappearance. Each revelation painted a portrait of a woman living on the edge, caught between survival and exposure. The eventual arrest of the suspect revealed yet another shocking twist. Authorities discovered that Sara's disappearance had been staged to create confusion and delay investigation. The suspect had manipulated evidence, misled witnesses, and exploited Sara's own secrets to obscure the truth. Detectives who had initially assumed a straightforward missing person case were now faced with a scenario involving deception at every level. The ingenuity and audacity involved left even seasoned investigators astonished. Court proceedings further exposed the complexity of the case. Witnesses testified to Sara's dual life, interactions with dangerous individuals, and efforts to conceal her activities. Prosecutors highlighted the manipulation, threats, and psychological games that had led to the events surrounding her disappearance. Defense attorneys attempted to mitigate responsibility by emphasizing coercion and duress, yet the weight of evidence, both physical and testimonial, was overwhelming. The courtroom drama mirrored the twists and turns of the investigation itself, keeping the public captivated. Public reaction to the case was intense. Media coverage emphasized the extraordinary elements of deception, secrecy, and the unexpected twists that had baffled detectives. Discussions about Sara Raras explored not only the crimes and investigation, but also the societal assumptions that had allowed her life to remain hidden. Her story sparked debates about trust, relationships, and the potential darkness that can exist in ordinary individuals. For many, the case was a reminder that appearances are often deceiving and that danger can lurk in the most familiar places. The story of Sara Raras is also a cautionary tale about the limits of perception and the importance of vigilance. Even those closest to her were unaware of the full extent of her life, illustrating how skillful manipulation and concealment can mask reality. Detectives, who often rely on patterns, assumptions, and behavioral analysis, were forced to adapt and reconsider traditional investigative strategies. The lessons learned from this case continue to influence law enforcement and criminal profiling, highlighting the unpredictable nature of human behavior. As we consider the twists and turns of Sara Raras' life, one question remains haunting: how many other stories exist where the truth is hidden in plain sight, waiting for an unexpected discovery to reveal the darkness beneath? The case challenges us to think critically, to be vigilant, and to recognize that the human capacity for secrecy and deception is far greater than we often imagine. Sara Raras' story remains one of modern Britain's most shocking and enigmatic criminal cases, leaving a legacy of mystery, caution, and intrigue.